Hi everybody, my name is Danielle Whaley and today I'm going to be talking about the risks associated with occupational radiation exposure. So when you go to get an x-ray done, are you worried about the radiation you're exposed to? I've only had a couple x-rays in my life, so I wasn't really that worried about the radiation I was being exposed to during it. But when you think about it, radiologic technologists and other healthcare workers are exposed to radiation for their entire career span every single day. And so they might be a little bit worried than you and I are. So, through thorough research, the information that I gathered shows that low dose, long term radiation exposure does not pose a threat to radiologic technologists as long as they follow all the safety precautions and barrier methods put in place, as well as track their exposure levels. So, in this speech, I will be going over the health risk associated with radiation exposure, how to track and monitor your exposure, and the barrier methods and safety precautions that can be used for protection from exposure. So, let's get started. So, health risks of radiation exposure. There are a lot of different health risks associated with high doses of radiation exposure, such as damage to human cells, damage to DNA, skin burns, hair loss, and of course, an increased incidence of cancer. Most of the time, when people think of radiation exposure, they think of cancer, and that is one of the biggest health risks associated with it. So, many studies have just shown that low dose radiation actually poses no threat at all, and that radiation exposure in low doses can actually be beneficial to health rather than harmful to it. So, our human bodies are not equipped to fight off the harmful health effects that are imposed by high doses of radiation, such as cancer. So, of course, when someone's exposed to a high amount of radiation, it's going to suppress our body's natural barrier system, whereas low doses of radiation have been proven to strengthen the body's natural barrier system, which in turn decreases the risk of cancer and other health effects caused by radiation. Over here, I just have a chart that shows um, it relates dying from different things versus different other things. So the blue bar is dying from appendicitis in a modern hospital. And as you can see, the risk of that is much higher than the lifetime risk of lung cancer in a non-smoker. So that purple bar basically means someone that was exposed to radiation and developed lung cancer. So dying from appendicitis in a modern hospital, the risk for that is much higher than dying from lung cancer that you got from radiation exposure. How radiation exposure is tracked and regulated. So we have a dose index registry. The index registry can be adopted by hospitals and other outpatient centers where radiation exposure can be seen as a threat. So basically, the registry collects the dosage amounts for each employee. It puts it into this basically a big catalog, and it can be seen from other hospitals in the area as well as on a national level. It just compares the amounts with different protocols and the types of procedures being performed. So basically, the goal of the registry is to completely compare dosage amounts, like I said, on a local or national level in order to refine and better manage dosages. Um, Over here, I have a picture of a body badge and a ring badge. These are radiation dose monitoring badges. So there's a body badge and a ring badge. The body badge is worn anywhere from your neck to your waist, closest to where the source of radiation is, and then the ring badge is worn on your hand, facing outwards of whatever radiation is going to be closest to, whether it's the palm of your hand or the back of your hand. So in both the body badge and the ring badge, there is radiation sensitive lithium fluoride crystal. Basically, when that crystal is exposed to radiation, um, that energy is heat. It gets heated to a very high temperature, and then that energy is released as visible light. So basically, that body badge and that ring badge will emit a visible light that can be seen, and that will just alert you if you've been exposed to too much radiation. So the monitoring badges are very, very effective. I believe that anyone that works around radiation should have to wear one just in case. It's a very, very good safety precaution to take, and it's going to help. We also have dose limits. So dose limits are put in place to better protect radiology workers. I have a chart right here. So there are different kinds of dose limits for different parts of the body. So the skin is 15 rems in any 1 year, the hands is 75 rems in any 1 year, and the forearms are 30 rems in any 1 year. So for fertile women, it's 0.5 rems in a gestation period, and then the population dose limit is 0.17 rems per year. There's also a dose limit for the entire body as a whole. Basically, for the entire body as a whole to be exposed to radiation at one time, it's 5 REMs in any 1 year. Barrier methods and safety precautions. So there are a couple different safety precautions and barrier methods that can be taken. So there's the time safety method, the distance safety method, and then the shielding and barrier methods. So with the time safety method, it's pretty self-explanatory. The less time you spend near the radiation source, the less radiation you're going to be exposed to, which increases the likeliness of you getting a radiation-related health issue. Same with the distance method, it's pretty self-explanatory. The greater distance you are from the source of radiation, the less radiation you'll be exposed to. Again, decreasing the likelihood of you getting a health-related radiation issue. With the shielding and barrier methods, there are 3 different kinds of barriers. There's a lead barrier, a water barrier, and a concrete barrier. The concrete barrier is just basically a wall. If you guys have gotten x-ray before, you know that when they go to take the picture, the radiologic technologist stands behind the wall while they take the picture. Concrete, it just doesn't allow radiation waves to pass through. So standing behind a concrete barrier, such as a wall, will help to minimize the radiation exposure that you have. Water barriers, basically, most radioactive materials are stored underwater. Once again, the water just does not allow radio waves to pass through. Lead barriers. So going for an x-ray, I have had this before. They place a lead blanket over top of a part of your body that is not being exposed to radiation. So while you're getting your x-ray done, that lead just doesn't allow radiation waves to pass through. So overall, low-dose radiation exposure does not pose a threat to radiologic technologists and other healthcare workers. Utilizing safety precautions and barrier methods will keep you protected greatly, and then tracking and regulating your exposure will help to keep you protected as well. No amount of radiation is considered safe, but the risk of developing a health issue is greatly diminished if all safety precautions are followed. And here are my references. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you have a great rest of your day.